Might you just start by just saying your name and where you live and, the ministry that you're involved with?
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. Well, my name's David Grunenberg, and I've been a pastor with the Christian Reformed churches in Australia for 3.5 decades. And more recently, I'm working with International Justice Mission here in Australia. We're based in Sydney, and we have a team of about 25 or 26. And I live about an hour north of where my office is. I live in the midst of a national park, beautiful nature. There is no better place to live. It might even be heaven. So, I've been part of International Justice Mission Network for the last 13 or 14 years and on staff for the last 4. And my role with International Justice Mission is I'm the Director of Church Partnerships here in Australia. So we're encouraging churches to think through matters of justice, theology, and the practical outworkings of that in their own congregations. Our view really is to see the church become a catalyst to stimulate the work of justice in Australian society. So it's a big vision, but we're very excited about it.
And you are one of the students that previewed our upcoming course, Ethnicity, Justice, and the People of God. And can you first just say, how did you take the course? Did you use it on your phone? Did you stream it? Did you sit in front of a computer?
Yeah, I actually use my iPad simply because my computer I use for work. It's a bit quirky, but I use the iPad for home things. And I wanted to be able to take it on the iPad and actually take notes on the other device. That's how it worked. But it worked. It worked fine. And the interface was good. I could follow the outline in that kind of environment, that kind of technology. It worked perfectly for me.
Can you talk about maybe a personal impact this course has had, or an aha moment, or?
Yeah, I think one of the main things is that it's affirmed, in my understanding, just the challenge that we often have in I'll just call it the wealthy West, to understand how justice even matters. Why is that something the church should be concerned about? And sometimes that question is framed to me, it won't following these calls of justice take us away from Jesus. But the call really helps, the course really helps us understand how the Bible's teaching about justice is something that's consistent right through the scriptures, Old Testament, New Testament. It helps us see some of our blind spots in terms of our individualistic interpretations of scripture. It helps us see that justice is core really to what God is doing in terms of restoring all things and calling us to be his new people in the expression and the anticipation of his kingdom. So it really has been affirming for me in that regard.
Can you maybe say something to a student who has maybe not thought about taking a course like this, or if this isn't right in their realm of ministry? Maybe they're doing something that's totally different. Why this course?
Yeah, look, I wondered about that question, and I thought I find it hard to think of a place in the world where there are no questions of race or ethnicity. There are no issues of social equity. I think we all have to deal with that, even I suppose somewhere in the most united, uniform, peaceful country, if that even exists, there are going to be tensions that we need to deal with. This course, I think, helps us see what the word says when it comes to matters of racial tension or ethnic questions. You don't have to live in the USA to have a Black Lives Matter issue to have to deal with. Here in Australia, we've got Indigenous questions that we need to deal with. It'll be the same in New Zealand. In parts of Africa, you've got tensions between different races. So I think this course will open up some of the Bible's teaching about just how we should be thinking about these things, and what does it mean for us? What does the call to Christian unity mean in a society where there can be these racial tensions? So I think this course offers a lot for anyone, really, and might even expose some questions that people might need to ask and answer in relation to how they're connecting with their own culture.
We've talked just a little bit about pointing people towards hope. How could you encourage somebody who might be resistant to talking about or entering into this type of a dialogue? What are some words or things that they can be thinking about in a hopeful way?
I think I would recognise that some people come into this question with a lot of other questions, and I'm wondering whether they're being drawn into some sort of quasi political discussion. This course is not about that at all. And I think what it does is that it helps us see Jesus. It helps us see the heart of God. It helps us see God's love for all human beings. It helps us see his great plan to restore his creation. So even at that level, I find that a very motivational reason to step into this course. And anyone who's involved in a Christian community will find gold in this course, really, to open up their understanding of how to better be an expression of the united church of Jesus Christ.
Such good work. Just last question, Dave. How has this course impacted you personally?
How has it impacted me personally? I think it's actually driven me, I mean, it's probably relevant to what I've just said, it's driven me to engage with local Indigenous groups locally. It's a reasonably high profile issue in Australia, nothing like it would be in perhaps the USA or in other parts of the world. But the reality is, right at the back of my property is land that is managed by the local Indigenous group. I've never met anyone from that group, and I should know them because I live on their land. There are issues of their voice into Australian society or into our constitution. I can deal with those things from an abstract point of view, or I can seek to ground them in a human face and with people. So this course has really actually encouraged me to say, I really should do something about that. So there's some real kind of nouthetic engagement, if you like, with the broader issues that are around me. I've appreciated how that's opened up for me. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time and your thoughts, and for you taking this course, and just even the insight that you offered me that I don't need to go anywhere beyond perhaps looking what's right next door to me, and justice matters everywhere. So thank you again for speaking with us today and for sharing your thoughts with us about this course.
It's a pleasure. I really appreciate the opportunity.